stuff comes in, it's dirty, smelly, stinky. Then when it leaves, my gosh, it's good. Comparatively anyway. At that time, not as good as it is today.
That's Joel Jones. In 1993, he graduated from Clemson University with a degree in wildlife and fisheries biology. He wanted to be out in the woods, counting deer, watching ducks, being on the water. That same year, he got engaged, bought a pickup truck, and on his father's advice, went looking for a job. You know, real life happened. He found one on the night shift as an operator trainee at Western Carolina Regional Sewer Authority, the utility we now know as REWA, or Renewable Water Resources. And the place they sent him? The Malden Road plant. This just wasn't any facility. When it started in 1928, it made Greenville the first city in the South to be completely sewered. Every line in the town feeding one modern plant. And running right through the middle of it, Reedy River. Not exactly what a wildlife biologist had in mind, but Joe had to cross that river several times at night, and a man with his training does not cross a river empty-handed.
I worked on night shift. I keep a hand line over the bridge because I had to cross back over Reedy River several times a night. So I threw a hand line over and I keep it baited up. And every time I come by, I'd feel it. And occasionally I would catch, a little catfish or something like that. And I would go and, the operations and training center, that building used to be, you have water in it, about 3 or 4 deep in the bottom. You go down into the bottom and some steps, and it was like a giant baptismal pool or something. And I would go down there and chunk fish in there. I did that. I bet I put 200 or 300 fish in the bottom of that building. Never saw another one. I don't know what happened. They may still be over there somewhere. But that, so I would do that kind of stuff, and I always dreamed of, this is a great place.
Everybody else looked at this campus and saw infrastructure behind a razor-wired fence. Joel kept seeing something else.
I think that this idea began when I was, again, over here working on night shift, and we had these abandoned buildings that we were using to store junk or not using for anything at all. Man, these are beautiful. These could have a purpose. And then looking around the campus and just seeing it, we had just allowed equipment that we didn't need anymore just to sit and to rust and just to stay. And, and I said, it would be cool if we could clean it. This is a cool place. Being the wildlife guy, I could see beyond that and say this could be a beautiful spot. This could be a green space. Because everything we do, I tell you, we ought to bleed green. Even though we're wastewater, everything we do ought to show we care about the environment. We're doing our best.
For most of his career, that was a philosophy, a way of seeing. Then one year, REWA needed to drain some old lagoons for an upgrade. Lagoons that had sat still, holding water for as long as anyone could remember. The water dropped, and it turned out Joel had been right all along.
I can remember one time we were going to dewater some old lagoons that we had. We needed to do it for an upgrade. And these have been full of water left over or whatever was in them for God knows how long, 15, 20 years. And they started pumping the water out of them. When they did, nobody realized how many turtles. I'm talking about the thousands. Really? You couldn't drive with the turtles on the roads, and they were crawling. They were getting the clarifiers, and they getting the pumps. Turtles from this big to this big. So we had we called it the year of the turtle around here. Had a mass exodus of turtles out of the tree.
Thousands of turtles for 15 or 20 years while the plant did its job, treating millions of gallons day in, day out. Those still lagoons had quietly turned into a sanctuary. Nobody planned it. Nobody counted them. And that's the thing Joel figured out about this work. Nature doesn't wait for an invitation. It moves into whatever we leave it. The only question is whether anybody's paying attention. Joel was paying attention. One of his projects was upgrading the Swamp Rabbit Trail where it crosses the campus. And this new clean water connector loop now carries walkers right through a working treatment plant. And along the loop, 9 bronze salamanders are hidden for a scavenger hunt. The spotted salamander being the campus's unofficial measure of success. Small rewards for anyone paying attention. And every once in a while, the river hands Joel a preview of what he's been hoping for.
People laugh at me. I tell them, I say, I'd love to see the Reedy be a recreational fisher. I'd love to see people coming in and spending their time catching fish. Because that was another thing. I didn't tell that story. That was another thing. I used to come in early for my shift and I'd go fish right down there in the shoals. People look at me like I had 3 heads. But I catch fish. And there are people, we got employees that'll fish sometimes. And I ran into some young guys from an adjacent neighborhood over here one day down fishing in the Reedy, and they were like, they thought I was going to chastise them for being on their property. But I said, y'all don't know how much it thrills my soul. I said, you're not supposed to be here. But I said, I'm not going to run. I said, just to see you enjoying the river, young guys fishing. I mean, they were 12, 13 years old. And I said, that'd be cool. But I just think that would be great for it to be more. I mean, the Reedy's beautiful. It's been a great centerpiece of Greenville, but I don't think it's still living up to its potential.
Joel Jones spent 32 years in this industry, night shift operator trainee to CEO of Rewall. From the outside, that looks like a straight line. Ask him about it, and he'll tell you it was anything but.
I've never been comfortable, I don't think, a day in my life coming to work. I've always felt that the role was bigger than me. I mean, even when I was an operator, I stepped foot in this place and said, oh my gosh, I could really mess something up here. I better learn. I better do the best I can because I could. But I've always felt that way about everything, and especially as a CEO. The role is a whole lot bigger than I am, and I've approached it that way. So that means I can't do it on my own. And so I got to find the people. I got to find the faith. I got to find all the things that do that. So I tell people not to look for comfort in their career, because that will lead you nowhere. It'll lead you into a rut, right? No, you got to be willing to take some risks, take on challenges. And the hard thing about that is some things fail. People look at my career in ways, they say, you've been so successful. I have failed a whole lot more. I have interviewed for more jobs and been turned down a whole lot more than I've been successful, but we're not going to talk about all those on this. I always tell people I'm kind of a head down kind of person.
He retired on April 30th, and last year, the same spring, Rewall turned 100. 3 weeks later, at his retirement celebration, Joel received the Order of the Palmetto, South Carolina's highest civilian honor, given for a lifetime of service to the state. Well earned. But listen to what he left unfinished. A river he believes still hasn't lived up to its potential. And the kids he keeps thinking about, the ones who love the woods and the water the way he did at 22, and just don't yet know that there's a place for that love to go.
I feel like I had a passion for something that I know a lot of young people out there do, but they never get connected how to use it a lot of times. They don't realize that this is an opportunity. If you really love this creation we've got out here, this is a solid way that you can get in and be a part of protecting it and stewarding it.
Somewhere out there, a kid is fishing in a river and doesn't know it yet. The work is right behind the fence. Joel spent 32 years proving something simple. The water can leave better than it came, and if you're lucky, so can you. Our thanks to Joel Jones for the stewardship, for the turtles, for the stories. If this one stuck with you, share with somebody who's still trying to figure out where their wild call belongs. This is Robert. From all of us, David, Amy, see you downstream.
So that's where the salamander came from. And they look cool, right? But you can see them. I've heard several people, once we talked about it, say, oh, I saw one. You know, it was on the trail. I said, you didn't touch, did you?